Hello everyone and welcome back to Cooking with TK. Today you guys, I am going to prepare these savory meatballs. Don't they look delicious? They are extremely fulfilling, very satisfying, full of taste, and yes, this is a gravy sauce. So if you guys would like to know how I made these delicious savory meatballs, then this is the video for you. So I have all of my ingredients laid out, ready to show you how I prepared these savory meatballs. I'm going to start with the meat. I have ground beef, and I'm using some ground pork sausage. The ground beef is 3 pounds. The pork sausage is 1.5 pounds. You do not have to use ground pork. You can just use all ground beef. You can use ground turkey sausage. You can use chicken or just turkey. Okay, I'm going to use 2 packets of Lipton beefy onion soup mix, some milk, and some breadcrumbs. Okay, those are Italian style breadcrumbs. If you don't have breadcrumbs, you can use 2 slices of bread with milk. I have some chopped fresh parsley, 2 eggs. We are going to use some nutmeg, just a tablespoon of nutmeg. We're going to use a tablespoon of allspice as well inside of our meat. We will be using garlic powder and black pepper. Adjust the seasoning according to your taste. We will not be using any salt. We will be using Worcestershire sauce, a little bit of canola oil, and we will be serving these on top of some egg noodles. Okay, also we will be using beef broth and a little bit of water for our mushroom gravy packet and our brown gravy packet. We will not be making our gravy from scratch today, but always remember that these gravy packets do have a lot of flavor in them. So let's start to cook. So take some milk, pour a small amount into your breadcrumbs. Here I'm using about 1 cup of breadcrumbs with about 1/3 cup of regular milk. And I'm going to allow those breadcrumbs to soak in the milk. Now, let's get ready to prepare our meatball mixture. Here you can see I have the ground pork, which is 1.5 pounds, and the ground beef, which is 3 pounds. Try to get the meat mixture as even as possible. So the first thing I'm going to use is my Lipton beefy onion soup mix. You will be able to find you a box of beefy onion soup mix for about 90 cents in your grocery store, such as Walmart. And here I'm using 2 packets because of the amount of meat mixture that I have. We will not be adding salt because the sausage has salt in it already, and the Lipton beefy onion soup mix has salt. Here I have my nutmeg, allspice, black pepper, and garlic powder. And remember, for the allspice and the nutmeg, you will only be using 1 teaspoon to go inside of your meat mixture. The garlic powder and the black pepper, please adjust to your liking. I only used a 1/2 tablespoon of garlic powder and a 1/2 tablespoon of black pepper. I'm also placing in some chopped fine fresh parsley. You want it to be small enough to where it is appealing inside of a meatball. You don't want it too big. Now let's go ahead and crack open 2 eggs. The 2 eggs will be acting as a binding agent for our meat mixture. You can pre-beat your 2 eggs if you like, but I just go ahead and crack my 2 eggs open and pour them in my meat mixture for my savory meatballs. Here I am going ahead and I'm adding in the breadcrumbs and milk mixture. Now remember, if you do not have a slice of breadcrumbs, you can use a slice of regular bread to soak in your milk. Now, what you need to do is to combine everything evenly by folding with your hands, as you see I'm doing here, into your meat mixture until well combined. Please do not overwork your meat, okay? Because just as in meatloaf, if you overwork your meat, it will not taste right. Now, after we have combined our meat mixture for our savory meatballs, we're going to make our meatballs. Here I am using a ice cream, or you would like to say cookie scooper, that is 1.5 tablespoons in diameter. So this would be 1.5 tablespoon size for a meatball. This is what I would like to use to make my meatballs. And you can get them extremely easy by using a utensil such as I'm using. Even if you use a regular spoon, that will help to make them all the same size. It makes them help you to get them rounder easily. And also when they are the same size, your meatballs can cook as evenly as possible, okay? So I'm gonna show you a few more times how I like to make my meatballs and the size that I like to make my meatballs. Also, you can get you out a tablespoon measure and just use the tablespoon to adjust to make your meatballs. And you're going to roll them in your hand into a circle, like you will see that I'm doing here in the video, to make a round meatball. Now, we are going to cook these meatballs in a skillet. If you prefer not to cook your meatballs in a skillet on top of your stove, you can cook your meatballs in the oven at 400 degrees for 20 to 25 minutes or until well done. Place a cookie sheet at the bottom of the pan before you place it in the oven. Okay, you guys, so what I'm going to do is to finish rolling the meatballs, and once I have all my meatballs rolled, I will be back. I cannot tell you how many meatballs this mixture would make until the end of this video, but I'm doing a voiceover, so I can tell you that it did make about 30 to 33 meatballs. Voila, everyone, here we have our meatballs. Don't they look like they're going to be extremely delicious and tasty? And I would like to say that they did turn out great. These are some delicious savory meatballs. And this meatball recipe can be the basis for any type of meatballs, even if you want to use barbecue meatballs or meatballs in marinara sauce. These meatballs would taste just fine. Now, I would like for you to place some oil into the bottom of a pan. Here I am using my cast iron skillet, and this is what I will be using to cook my meatballs. The meatballs will not be cooked all the way through. We are going to brown the meatballs on the outside, basically searing them to hold the juices and the flavors in. So I'm going to place my meatballs in the pan, and remember, you only want a shallow amount of oil. If you have extremely lean ground beef, that would be just fine as well. But the sausage and the ground beef together will help generate some oil, so you do not need to add an extremely large amount of oil, just enough so that they do not stick to whatever pan that you are choosing to use. It will create more oil in the bottom of the pan. And remember, we are just browning, searing the outside of our meatballs, not cooking them all the way through on top of the stove, because they will continue to cook inside of our savory meatball sauce with brown gravy once we are done. Okay, so now it is time for me to turn my meatballs over, and I would like for you guys to get a close look at what I mean by browning the outside and not cooking the inside of the meatballs. As you can see that I am turning the meatballs over very carefully because I didn't want them to lose their shape. I thought that it would be easier for me to use the wooden spoon and the tongs together to flip it over, because when I was just trying to use the tongs by itself, it kind of messed up the shape of my meatballs. But you can see the sear on the outer edge of the meatballs right here. Don't they look beautiful and golden brown? Yes, they look so delicious. Let's continue to cook these meatballs, and once I have all of my meatballs cooked, I will be back to show you guys how to make this delicious brown gravy sauce that we are going to place our meatballs in for our savory meatball recipe. I'm going to use the same pan that I had my meatballs in, and I'm going to deglaze the pan by using the beef broth. I'm going to pour a small amount of the beef broth in. Remember, all that goodness from the meatball, that is flavor. If you were making a regular brown gravy from scratch, you would use the remnants as well. Any extra oil, make sure that you pour it out. Let's deglaze the bottom of this pan by pouring in a small amount of the beef broth. And you're going to take your spoon, here I'm using a wooden spoon, and I'm going to scrape all of that good flavor from our meatballs off the bottom of my skillet. Please do so as you see I'm doing here. Next, I'm going to add in the packets that I have of the mushroom gravy packet and the beef brown gravy packet. Because of the amount that I'm using, I have 2 mushroom gravy packets and 2 brown gravy packets. And I am stirring this in, and I will adjust the amount of liquid according to the packets. Make sure that whatever packets that you choose to use, you adjust your liquids as well. The mushroom gravy packet that I'm using does have bits of mushroom in it. If you would like to add more mushroom, then you can, you guys. But I'm going to make it a little thinner, so I will be adding water. Next, after I have all that stirred in, I am going to put in 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce. The seasoning that I'm using is the same seasoning that I placed in the meat: onion powder, garlic powder, black pepper, nutmeg, and allspice. So go ahead and stir those ingredients together. Next, I will be placing in some sour cream. For the amount that I'm using, I will be using 1 cup of sour cream. Adjust your seasoning and your flavors to your liking. Do not over season, add a little bit at a time, because remember, you cannot take it out once it is in there. Okay, now let's allow this to come to a simmer like you see I'm doing here. And once we get it to a simmer, go ahead and place in your meatballs. You will simmer your meatballs into this delicious brown mushroom gravy for about 15 to 20 minutes, or until your meatballs are done. And trust me, they will be extremely soft, very tasteful. They're not gonna fall apart. They're gonna hold their shape because we seared them. But all of the flavor that we had in the meatball with the seasoning, and also from this mushroom brown gravy mixture, will soak into those meatballs. And trust me, it is extremely delicious. Everyone's gonna like it. Now, after allowing my meatballs to simmer for 20 minutes, this is the finished product, you guys. It is extremely delicious, very, very tasteful. Your family will enjoy it. Your friends, your neighbors, whoever you're cooking for, these meatballs will be a hit. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please share this video out with each and everyone you know. Leave me lots of comments if you try my recipe and tell me what you think. Also, tell me, how do you prepare your savory meatballs? And if you guys would like for me to try one of your recipes, please don't forget to subscribe to the TK Fam channel. Don't forget to leave comments once again down below. That's right, you guys. I love to chit chat. And share this video out with each and everyone you know. Hit that notification bell so that you'll be notified, and I'll see you in my next video.